All right, so Sage is going to talk about his most anticipated media of 2026 there. We got a lot of stuff to talk about there, a lot of good stuff. I did my list already with Neil and Nick there. Let Sage get a chance. And Sage, he's got a good balanced media diet there. Read some books, comic books. He's a funny book boy. He, does TV shows, he does movies, he does video games. So it's going to be a much varied list than maybe mine's or Nick's there.
Did you guys do just movies?
We did mostly just movies and shows. Neil
Okay.
did some, I think he did a video game, but he did a video game, but it's mostly movie shows, mostly that. Yeah. So
Awesome.
Sage, let the people know, man, what you got.
Now I might need your help remembering what is the next one in sequence, because I know I put them all in there, but I don't remember what the order was.
Okay, don't worry, I got you there. So I'll go bottom up for you there. So let's see. So your number 10 here is going to be Lanterns.
Yeah. Oh man. I got the ring on right here. Yeah, man. Really, really hopeful for the show. They've shown exactly 10 seconds of it so far, so which is not a lot. But even in that short clip, I feel like the idea of Hal Jordan putting the ring on the dashboard and then jumping out of the car like that, and to me, that feels like that's nailing that character. Even though it's only 10 seconds, it is very promising to me. I'm also just a particularly big fan of that the Green Lantern mythos and those comics. I've got about 50 books on my shelf over here. I think that's the biggest collection of any single like American comic book that I've got of any of the stuff. And yeah, I'm really excited. I thought they did a great job with Guy Gardner in the Superman movie. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing this dynamic and everything kind of play out together. The pitch of the show being sort of a true detective inspired murder mystery, I think is a really clever and smart format to put it in, to try and maybe get people eased into the idea of what the Green Lanterns are capable of, like when you really start spending time with them. But yeah, I've got high hopes. We'll see. Hopefully I could end up being disappointed, but I was just a big fan of that IP in general. It means a lot to come as far as we have from 2011.
I say I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's gonna be on Max. Combination Aaron Pierre, Kyle Chandler there.
And I think great casting choices for both of them.
Yeah, John Stewart and Kyle Rayner, right?
Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan there.
Hal Jordan's Alan Scott's the original, where it was more of a magic power and there was only one of them. But Hal Jordan is kind of what people think of as the classic, typically in modern day. It goes Hal, then Guy, then John, and then Kyle was last. Kyle was given the ring in the comics after Hal Jordan was possessed by Parallax and went on this crazy rampage and destroyed the city and all this stuff. And then there were no Green Lanterns because he destroyed the power battery on the alien planet and everything. And then the last Green Lantern ring was given to Kyle Rayner. And Kyle Rayner is a comic book artist. So when he does stuff with the ring, it's like dragons and fantasy stuff. And that's actually one of the things I'm maybe most excited to see about the show is how do they handle the constructs? Because, you pitch the idea of Green Lantern and you're like, okay, they make big green light objects, right? Out of it's big, could be anything, whatever, it's their imagination. But what's cool in the comics is they're always drawn a bit differently, and not even just the types of things they make, but how they're structured. So like John Stewart specifically, right? He is both a history in the military, and yeah, it makes it hard to take these characters seriously. But John Stewart he's both I believe he's a Marine, and he also is an architect. So when John Stewart makes something with the ring, all of the pieces of it that would actually be there for that thing to really work as a piece of construction all come together. Kyle Rayner, like I mentioned, he's a comic book artist, so he's making like fantasy stuff, right? Like crazy, really high imaginative. Hal Jordan is like kind of not as imaginative of a character, and he's also not an architect, so he'll make like planes and bombs and a big fist, and it'll be a little more basic, but it'll so there's all these things they do to define their personalities. There's a great one of the alien Green Lanterns. She's like a surgeon, and so it's these very precise sort of, it'll be like medical tools, and so that's something I really want to see brought to life in the show. Is like, you got two main characters, you got Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. I want to I want to be able to tell which one is doing something in a scene just based on how the constructs look.
Mm, okay. Interesting. Yeah. When is it supposed to come out? This
So
Lantern?
originally, I think it was supposed to be an early year show, like February, March, maybe, but it
Mm.
got delayed to I think it's just summer, so I don't think it's got like an exact month yet. But I'd be willing to bet either June or August. That's going to be
It
my
just
guess.
says mid 2026. Will consist of 8 episodes. And it is, of course, part of the James Gunn DC universe there. So it's a part of that. But yeah, I'm excited. The premise gets me excited. True Detective, there. It's gonna turn out Parallax is Jeffrey Epstein or something like that, and they're gonna fight him.
Oh God,
Stop a sex ring, human trafficking ring with the rings, maybe.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So that's your number 10. What's your number 9?
Number 9, I believe it is the new Evil Dead coming out later this year.
That is correct. Evil Dead Burn. Now, there's no real footage of this. I don't even know if there's a premise or anything yet of it. It's just kind of
I don't
they're
think
gonna.
there is, and that is me being a fanboy. But I just Evil Dead is just something I enjoy that much. Last two Evil Dead movies have both come out on my birthday. I don't believe this one is supposed to. This one's going to be a little later in the year. But yeah, I don't know. This is just all the horror franchises out there. Uh, so many of them. They make sequel after sequel after sequel, and how many of those are good. I've liked every Evil Dead movie. Not all of them have been perfect, but I've liked all of them at least, then including the TV series. And we're supposed to be getting that like animated thing where like it'll be like kind of a continuation of that TV show. But it's just kind of amazing to me that there is a horror franchise out there where I like every entry, like a true franchise with like a bunch of sequels. And I've yet to be let down by this series. So
So it seems like they have a cast for it. Some of these people, I think maybe I've seen them before. It seems like the lead on this, the one that's first, is Shula Yukba,
hmm,
or Jacob. There, she was in Doom Part Two.
okay.
Um, she was. I don't know if you recognize her at all. But this is the woman right here. I don't know if you recognize her.
I couldn't pick out where she was in the film. I'm assuming
Uh,
one of the Bene Gesserit though.
Probably. You got a guy named Hunter Dunhan. He was in Daredevil Born Again.
Hmm.
He was in that. Um, I think maybe was he like young? Oh no, he was the serial killer guy, wasn't he? Let me
Oh,
see.
Muse.
Yeah, I think this was the serial killer guy, right?
Well, the actor wasn't bad. All I didn't love how that character was adapted, but
Okay. Then yeah, you got him in it. Lucene Buckingham. I don't think. Yeah, I'm looking at their credits. I don't really see anything they've been in before.
I mean, I like that honestly. Sometimes, like, go into a movie, don't recognize anybody. Sometimes that's a blessing.
Yeah. The guy who's directing it, let's see, Sebastian Vanek, there. He's done some other movies. He did some short films, and then in his other feature film was Infested.
Now, I haven't seen that yet, but I really want to. And not only because I just like watching a lot of horror films in general, but Sam Raimi goes out and he handpicks these directors. Fede Alvarez, that did the 2013 remake. Sam Raimi went out and found that guy and said, "I want you to do an Evil Dead movie." Same thing with Evil Dead Burn, from a couple of years ago. He went out. I think it was I want to say that was Lee Cronin's an Irish director. I think did a movie called Hole in the Ground, and then you know he came out and Sam Raimi found him and he was like, "Hey, I want you to." So Sam Raimi is like really hands on like selecting these indie directors and then bringing them into the franchise, which I think is just a cool way to do it. Clearly, he's just got a lot of love for it, and I feel like he seems to really be on top of picking the right people to handle these. Now, I'm seeing a lot of spiders in this trailer, and now maybe I won't watch it.
It's on Shutter. It's a Shutter original.
Okay.
Is what the movie's about. So it's a Shutter original there. So I don't know. I mean, is it a case where Spider gets loose and then it gets bigger and bigger or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I really only know the title.
Okay. So it says here the film is a social commentary on xenophobia, finding parallels between spiders and the Banaloo residents there. Yeah, so okay. So it's like it says here, character takes on the lethal desert spider that reproduces rapidly and causes a massive infestation in the neighborhood. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know if I can watch it because I'm going to get so many comments if I do.
Yeah, Evil Dead, but I loved Evil Dead Rise. I thought Evil Dead Rise was cool. I liked Evil Dead Rise a lot. All right. What's your number 8, man?
I think it's Zach Cregger's Resident Evil.
It is Zach Cregger's Resident Evil there.
And this is another one where there's not that much to go off of. But I really trust him as a director. He has done 2 of my favorite horror films this decade and maybe of all time, to be honest. Especially Barbarian. I really that movie just hit all the right notes as a like comedy horror film. I think, and I don't want it to be like a Jordan Peele situation where, he's held in such high regard that then, every time he does something, it's like held to this impossibly high standard of masterpiece that everything he does gets compared to that. But 2 for 2 so far. I think this guy he just gets it. He just gets how to put a horror film together. And I think, Barbarian especially reminded me of the tone of a Resident Evil 7, I think in particular, at times with the basement and just everything under the house. And yeah, I think I see so much potential in him being part of this. I mean, and how many Resident Evil adaptations have there been? 10, 11, 12?
A lot, yeah.
and yeah, that first one's, it's okay. I don't think it's that for very first movie is terrible, but it's not that faithful to the game either. It doesn't really capture what is great about the game. It's kind of just even as saying it's decent. It's like its own little thing with its own tone.
Damn, they made 6 of these movies. God damn.
The Mila Jovovich one?
Yeah, wow.
Because they did that. Then there's the Welcome to Raccoon City reboot attempt at an adaptation. That's 7. There was the Netflix show. That's 8. They've done like 5 or something of those like CG animated films, I think. Which those are, I don't think any of those are amazing. But those are better than the live action ones so far. But I think there's a chance that not only is this the first like good Resident Evil movie, I think there's a chance that it's a great Resident Evil movie.
Yeah. We were just talking about YouTubers turned filmmakers. Was Zach Cregger count as a YouTuber turned filmmaker?
The Whitest Kids You Know was on TV. Like it was like a low budget channel. I forget even what channel it was on, but it was not like a primetime television, but certainly it was on TV.
Okay. Yeah, good old Whitest Kids You Know, man. Yeah, I'm excited for it. He hasn't missed yet. Love Barbarian. Love Weapons there. Love that a lot.
And this is I believe releasing on September 18th this year, which if I'm not mistaken is when the Jill and Chris get chased into the mansion with the rest of their Stars team in 1996.
Okay, very cool there. So anniversary you got there going on. So yeah, I don't know what the premise is going to be of this yet.
All we know is it's more of an original narrative. It's not like starring Leon or starring Jill Valentine. It is kind of its own narrative. I do believe we know it's taking place in Raccoon City, though. I do think we know that from set photos.
The only person here, so you got Austin Abrams, who has a character name. He's the only person with a character name as Brian, a medical courier. Then you got Paul Walter Hauser, who Austin Abrams, he was the crackhead and the meth head and Weapons there.
Oh, great Great. That's awesome.
He was that there. Paul Walter Hauser, people know he's been in like a bunch of stuff. He was in
Well, he was the
Deliver Me.
Mole Man in Fantastic Four.
Yes, he was the Mole Man in that. He was in that Clint Eastwood movie, Richard Jewell. He was in that
Mm.
as well.
I
Um,
saw him. I remember him from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
yeah, he was in that as well. He's really good. I like Paul Walter Hauser a lot.
You have no idea how old it made me feel to realize that the adult man that I was seeing on screen in the Fantastic Four was that kid in that episode of It's Always Sunny. That made me feel so old when I realized that that was the same person.
Well, it is TV, so I know he's playing high school, but he's probably already 25. He's probably
That is possible. That's true. Yeah.
yeah, he was the gigolo in that episode. And then you also have Zach Cherry, who people know he's in Severance. He's the guy in that show. Um,
I love him in that. So
and then you have an actress named Callie Reeses there, or I don't know how you say her last name. Oh, she was just recently in. Oh, she was just recently in Mercy. I forgot about that. Yeah, she was
Mercy. Which
that
one was Mercy?
that Chris Pratt movie, the AI movie.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
And she was also in True Detective, the latest season with Jodie Foster. I heard that season's. I didn't see it. I heard it's not very good.
I didn't watch. I've only seen the first one. When I saw Vince Vaughn as the leading man of season 2, I was like,
Yeah, you don't like Vince. I think Vince Vaughn can be a good.
I think he can be, but I just remember the trailers were not grabbing me. I did want to go back and watch season 3 though, and I still never did that because Mahershala Ali I think is so great. But
I watched season 3. Season 3 is pretty good. I like season 3.
I got to go back and finish that. Maybe True Detective season 2 would have been better if his partner cop was also Owen Wilson. I don't know.
Well, maybe it'd be better if they had lantern rings. Maybe that would have been better.
I think it's gonna make that show great.
Yeah. All right. So Zach Kreger's Resident Evil is your 8th. In your 7th pick here, is going to be Ghost in the Shell.
Yes. Yeah. Super. We talked about that just last week. With the footage they released. Very excited for this. Big fan of the manga. I've really enjoyed other adaptations. But this, like I talked about before, kind of the first one to really wholesale do the manga's art style kind of exactly the way it looks on the page, and to follow the plot seemingly kind of exactly. Ghost in the Shell kind of comes from an era where when anime would get made based on manga, it was a little bit more of a loose reinterpretation of the material, and a lot of anime for the longest time would do their own things a bit more, and maybe they'd have filler, or they would just tell an alternate story with the same idea. And you go back and watch like the older adaptations of Ghost in the Shell, and that's exactly what you get. None of them are really following the story of the book. They're kind of doing their own thing with the world. And some of those are very good, but it is really exciting to see sort of 50 years later the first adaptation to really go for it and tell that book story in a very faithful way. I'm very excited about Science Saru. It's, I think, a great studio. They did Scott Pilgrim, the Scott Pilgrim anime a few years back. They did Devilman Crybaby in 2018. Inuo 2021 movie, which we did a review for. Don to Don is like their kind of most recent series. And so it's just a really consistently great studio with great output. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have never. I mean, besides the movie, the 2017 movie, I have not watched.
Worst like possible introduction to the franchise you could have too.
I've not watched anything other than that Ghost in the Shell. Really, I've always heard about the anime, but never checked it out. But there is a poll right now. People can check it out on twitter.com, the afternoon tune. People type that in, of which movie we should review there, or series. I think right now the 95 movie is winning, but I do have this movie up as well. If people want to vote.
Has anyone voted for it?
No, I don't think anyone voted for it. But yeah. So it's very weird. Oh, DreamWorks. I forgot DreamWorks. That's very weird that DreamWorks was behind
That
this
is weird.
But yeah. So yeah, I don't really know anything besides that, but I've heard of the anime. It's a classic anime there. You had that kind of going on. I remember somebody talking about this scene.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm fucking looking at.
Somebody says, like, if these are supposed to be like pleasure bots, like, where are you supposed to stick it? Like, where are you supposed to? They got all these, things in it. Like, what is this for?
Yeah,
like,
your dick's gonna get caught into like a gear or something.
Yeah, like what's kind of going on there? The ones from Blade Runner are much better, I think.
Yeah.
He kind of got that. Yeah. So, but it gave us the classic joke that Scarlett Johansson's Asian, so he did give us that. So you had that
I
kind
mean, hey, the meme was worth it.
of yeah. All right. So that it was that number 7?
Yeah, I believe so.
All
This
right.
next one, I'm pretty confident I know is the third Dune film.
Yes, Dune 3, doing it 3. All
Dune at
right.
3. Which
All right.
Dune's Day is not going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen. All right, let's just cut that shit out right now. Uh, but no, I mean, I've really loved both of these other two films. I call it hyperbolic, but I really think it is doing for sci-fi, like a blockbuster sci-fi film, what Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films did for blockbuster fantasy. I think it has breached into the mainstream and has been such a success. Well, also I think being just really true to the books and the themes of that story, and then just adapting that well, and bringing it cinematic flair to it. And say some book readers might really pick at me for saying this, but in some ways, I actually like these movies more than the novels they're based on.
Really? Okay.
Well, so the reason I say that is because the way the books are written, these characters do not have a lot of character to them. They are talking themes. So they go on these philosophical musings that I think are very interesting, and I think the movie captures those concepts very well. But the movies humanize and create dynamics and like maybe a greater sense of like personal tragedy to the characters that I don't necessarily think is in the books. Like the books are a very dry read. They're
Mm.
great. I love them, but they are dry. And I think the movies manage to bring that like personal stakes into the narrative that maybe just I don't really feel like is in the books as much. And so and there's a certain way in which I kind of like these better.
Mm. Robert Pattinson, he got added to the cast, Dune 3.
Yes, and
Uh,
I cannot wait. I love the casting for the character that he is playing.
and who's he playing again?
He is playing a shape shifting assassin that after Paul Atreides is sort of ascended to emperor and is sort of at the height of his power. There's sort of a conspiracy that builds to sort of take him out, and Robert Pattinson is playing one of the assassins that is sent after him.
Mm. You also have Anna Taylor-Joy's playing the adult version of the sister of Paul's sister in
Yes.
this. So she also got added there. And then yeah, so I'm Denis Villeneuve close it off. Can he do a great trilogy there? The best trilogy. If he makes the third one really great, I mean, could this be the best trilogy we've seen since Lord of the Rings? I don't know.
I think there's a chance. And also, what's interesting too is it sounds like this third film will pull from elements of the second, because the first two movies are just book one. And it sounds like this movie might pull from elements of book two and book three and kind of mix them together a little bit.
Mm,
Because
okay.
in a lot of ways, book two was written just because the message of the story went over people's heads. And Frank Herbert felt like, okay, no, I'm going to drive this home harder by really getting into like what Paul is like after he's taken control. And then the third book jumps, ahead quite a bit and sort of focuses on um, sort of. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's some legacy elements in there. And the BBC miniseries from 2003 actually adapts both the second book and the third book. And James McAvoy plays sort of a different protagonist that comes in
Mm.
book three, which is I still want to go back. It's the only version of Dune I haven't watched is that miniseries. So I would like to see that. But it's sort of interesting that they're maybe mixing those stories together a little bit, and I think part of it's because uh, Dennis Villeneuve he brought some of that more pointed theme I'm talking about from the second movie. He brought that into the first films from the second book already. So when then you approach an adaptation of book two, there's maybe less there, so it makes sense to pull from book three. I don't know. I really trust his vision. I think he's going to do a great job.
Also, Denis Villeneuve hasn't missed. I don't think he's missed. I don't think I've seen something where I've been like, "Oh, that was terrible." I don't think so. Uh,
Enemy.
I haven't seen Enemy. That's the one with
I
is that the spider with Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal?
and I'm not
Okay.
just saying it because of this, because of that. I that is I personally did not like that one very much.
Okay.
I thought it was a little too artsy for its own good.
Yeah. I like Sicario. I like Prisoners. I like Arrival. Blade.
Blade
I love
Runner.
his Blade Runner. I think Blade Runner 2049 is better than the original Blade Runner.
Ooh, we might have to fight about that one.
Yeah, I like it better there.
No,
Uh,
I thought both are great. I like the first original a little more, but I think they're both great movies.
um, and then yeah, after this, he's gonna go do Bond. So he's gonna go do that after this. So
That'll be interesting. I like that he's going to be doing it, but I hate that Amazon is the one in charge of it, so I'm conflicted.
yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do. Man. Timothy Chalamet is Bond. He's gonna be Bond.
I mean,
Uh,
the one benefit of Amazon, I've had this conversation a few times, but I think the one benefit of Amazon having that James Bond IP could be that you maybe see the like who's playing the character maybe swap out more often, and like so you get to see more experimental takes on it.
mm,
Maybe because James Bond still so far has been one of those franchises that you don't get them all the time. Like it's not like a yearly franchise where there's always a James Bond thing. And I feel like Amazon's going to turn it into that. But the one bright side is maybe you get hey, one year you get Idris Elba's like as like an old Bond, and then immediately we move on to another actor. So if you don't like that one, you can shut up and see the next one in another year. Um,
mm.
so we'll see what happens. I mean, I still want to see Idris Elba do it personally. That's still kind of my Idris Elba. Michael Fassbender is the villain.
Mm.
That's the matchup I want.
Okay. Two British people, yeah, going at it. Michael Fassbender. Well, Michael Fassbender, he's not. Is he
He's
Irish?
Irish.
He's Irish. Okay, yeah. You got that kind of going on. But yeah, I mean that spy movie gap is kind of empty right now because Mission Impossible's done for the moment. So that gap is kind of wide open. There's a hole there. So James Bond's got to fill it. Not the first time he's filled a hole. So
Far from it.
yeah. So
But
um,
I hope they don't overdo it and they're constantly like you got to watch the Miss Moneypenny miniseries before the James Bond film comes out, and then you got to watch the Q miniseries after the James Bond movie comes out to know where the story goes after that. I just hope it's not that type of thing because I could see Amazon doing that.
the Young Adventures of James Bond.
They
Yeah.
did they did a James Bond Jr. in the '80s. That was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Well, everything had a cartoon in the
Yeah,
80s. Yeah.
I mean it's like Rambo or RoboCop having like kids shows.
Yeah. All right. So, what would be your? So that was say. So, what would be your fifth one, man?
Let's see. It's one of two things. I
It
think
would.
Wolverine.
It is Wolverine. As I
I know
live
it's
and breathe, it is the Wolverine. Yeah. This is a video game.
Yeah, man. I mean, Insomniac's got a great track record. They showed that one trailer off, and I thought that looked spectacular. Really captured everything about it. We went into quite a lot of detail, I think, when that trailer debuted last year. But I mean, it really feels like it's capturing that comic book character pretty perfectly. But I think their Spider-Man games did that so well to begin with, and I think from the voice and the actor they picked to the design and just seeing that it's that kind of thing where like a video game can have a level of realism and stick to the goofiness of the comics at the same time in a way that I just think a movie probably never can. And so
Mm,
you get just this is the comic just exactly as it looks, brought to life in a way that you probably never will get in a film. Exactly. And I think that's one of the great benefits of video games. And I mean, come on, how do you not get excited about if you're a fan of this character? How do you not get excited about seeing this footage?
well, I mean, some people are not too excited. I mean, some people got to be find a way to be mad about something. But yeah, I mean, hey, this looks like good classic Wolverine action, man.
And Omega Red, like that is one of my favorite, like kind of maybe lesser known Marvel villains. And he's a big X-Men villain. Seeing that character look that good on screen, I mean that feels special.
Yeah. So I mean, if they keep the same energy for the move, I mean, for the game, then I'll have a good time. Good hack and slash fun there. We saw somebody playing the Wolverine PS2 game there, or was that PS3?
PS3.
Uh, PS3
There
game
are some
there.
other PS2 games though that are not as good.
Yeah. And we was like, okay, if it can kind of do what the PS3 game did, then it'll be pretty fine there and keep some of the kind of the same mechanics and everything like that of
The
how
big
fun
thing
that
I'm
game.
hoping they carry over is that PS3 game had a programmed system in where you could actually see like his whole body get like blown apart, like all the way down to being a skeleton, and then in real time you'd watch it all grow back. And I thought that was such a cool mechanic in that game. And that's like the number one thing I'm hoping carries over.
Mm. Let me see if I can find that. I love the part where you team up with Will I Am and try to search for the other members of the team. I like that part a lot in the game. Uh, yeah. Let me see
Will
if
I
I can.
Am was asking why I am when he was doing it.
Let's see. Is this it? This is the details of when he does it. Okay, so this shows a little bit of it right here. Um, let's see. So kind of like this is what you want, pretty much, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you can, yeah, and you can. I mean, you can have him get blown up to the point that he's like, oh yeah, see that now that you can see the skeleton and stuff. I think that's just such a great thing to do with the character and something only a video game is gonna really get to show you in that much detail and have like over and over again happen throughout the game and regenerating in different ways too every time because you'll get hit in different spots. I mean that's just a really cool piece of programming.
Mm, awesome there. All right. What's your number four?
All right. Well, if Wolverine was five, then four is definitely replaced.
Yes, it is.
Now, this is
Uh,
currently the game I think I've been waiting on to come out the longest out of everything in the industry. This is announced in 2020, I think, or 2021. So it's like 5 years, or maybe six even, that this game has been getting released. And number one, I want you to just notice this is pixel art. Like
mm,
for all the detail there, those are that's like pixel art, like retro pixel art. It's just so well done, man. Like I feel like they've evolved what pixel art can be with this game, honestly. Um, you know, kind of Blade Runner-esque setting, 2D sort of Metroidvania world design, Batman Arkham free flow combat with the like jumping between enemies counter system. What's not to like about this? I mean, I think it's got so many cool elements. It seems to be executing them all really tightly, compressing them together. Um, yeah, that shot there with the flare even kind of makes me think of the way the last Batman movie ended a little bit.
oh, I could see that. Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
this game got announced a while ago now, and it's been just one of the I think most promising looking indie games for years at this point.
Mm.
And the
I think
combat looks fucking sick, I have to say.
we talked about this from a game show, right? Because we
I
showed that
think a
again.
couple different times.
Yeah. And this is some of the combat that you have here. Very cool.
And
Very
it is very
Batman-esque.
much the Batman games.
Yeah, very cool there. Okay. Very cool. Yeah. I'm excited for this game too. This looks a cool game. I talked about it, I think when we talked about it when we were reacting to the game show that it came from. That yeah, this looks really good, really interesting.
The only
Uh,
thing is, I don't know. It's an Xbox only for starters. It'll go multi-platform at some point because everything for the Xbox is going multi-platform, slowly but surely. So I don't know if I'll be able to play it right away when it comes out in March too, which is pretty soon. So I might not be able to play it right away, but man, I can't wait until it drops on the PlayStation as well.
mm, all right. Your next thing is coming is something coming out very soon.
Yeah, real soon this month.
All right. What you got?
Resident Evil Requiem. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about this to the point that I'm playing all of the games basically in the lead up to this release. Maybe I think I'm even going to do a little bit of six again. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this game I think looks really awesome. You've got half of it is the tone of like 1, 2, and 7. The other half is very much full, kind of modeled after 4. Um, and if it can nail both of those things at the same time, I think it could be one of the best in the series. The experiment of having sort of two different or multiple different styles at the same time is something they tried in 6, but really when you look at 6, all of them are kind of just action campaigns. They're like the kind of all take on that feel. Whereas this is like one half of this really is that more slow-paced horror that you expect from, again, 2, 7. And I think that looks great. I think Grace looks like a really fun new character. Her mother being Alyssa Ashcroft from the Resident Evil Outbreak spin-off games back on the PS2 is really cool. And through these remakes and the new Resident Evil games over the years, we're coming up on 10 years of that, by the way. 7 came out in 2017. And then since 7, we've had 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 remake, and then Village, and then now 9. And through all those games, they've sort of taken these chances to, integrate the story of this as a series, I think, closer together. When 2 remake came out, it just brought a little more of what of like 4 Leon back into 2, especially with like the gameplay. When 3 came out, they had that sort of new bit that wasn't in the original, where Nemesis was partially built using parasites. So then that ties into the lore of 4, which was not in the original games at all. Then 4 comes out. Leon's got this like much heavier character arc where he's got PTSD from the events of 2, and that very much seems to be sort of carried into 9 here, which I think I honestly think this is going to be like the Leon trilogy ender. I think this will be considered the 3rd and final Leon game. I'm really certain that it'll be like a swan song for him. And that's very exciting. I mean, I think he's one of the greatest video game characters of all time. I think 4 is one of the greatest video games of all time and invented a new genre. Like, it is that significant. And so if they can really live up to that legacy and kind of encapsulate both ends of the series at the same time, I mean, I think this has a chance of competing with something like 4.
Requiem, it's coming out February, 20th?
27th, I think.
Well, it's funny. Scream 7 is coming out on the same day. It's funny.
Interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, Resident Evil Requiem. Yeah. So this is huge, highly anticipated. I mean, most of these Resident Evil games have been, highly reviewed. Since, where did it all really kick off? Was it 7?
7. Yeah, because 6 was 2012, and then the series was kind of dormant for a while. And then 7 was this huge surprise comeback.
Shot in the arm.
Just reinvigorated the whole thing. And because in 7 really feels a lot like 1. So it's a single home location. It's a residence. It's filled with evil residents in it. But 7 was actually the only game in the series where they flipped the titles around, because in Japan the series has always just been called Biohazard. Mm-hmm. And Resident Evil 7, the full American title is Resident Evil Biohazard, and the full Japanese title is Biohazard Resident Evil. So 7 is the only game in the franchise where the Japanese release used the American title and vice versa. And ever since then, I think they've been on a run with every single one of these games. I know that some people were not as big of a fan of the 3 remake because it cut some stuff from the original.
Oh, that was super short. Yeah.
I still think that game is pretty great, to be honest. But
I did hear a lot of people come, because it's only like a few hours or something like that.
If you have never played it and you don't know where to go and what to do, and you're exploring everything, I think you could get probably 6 hours out of that game.
Okay.
If you know what you're doing, like, there's a trophy in it for beating it in less than 2 hours. Like, if you know what you're doing and where everything is already on like a second playthrough, you could totally beat it super, super fast. But I still think there's a lot of stuff in that's really worth appreciating. And in particular, I think the character of Jill and how they kind of characterize her, I think that's really strong, which was sorely needed after 5 totally like threw her character in the garbage. So I think there's still a lot to love about even that one, which I know is the least liked of the newer ones, but I still think it's quite good.
Okay. All right. Talked about video games, talked about movies. Now you got some shows to talk about, an anime there.
Yes, and I think because that was 3. Resident Evil is number 3.
Yes.
Okay, so I know exactly where we're at now. Steel Ball Run, man, JoJo's Part 7, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This show is something I really only got into in 2024. I think I watched the entire series twice that year. I mean, I even have got a tattoo for it on my shoulder back here too. Man, I fell in love with this. Like this will rewire what your brain like understands to be possible within just the bounds of a story. It's hard to put into words just how weird and crazy JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is. But you know, every so it's interesting here. This is sort of a fresh start. You could call this like a soft reboot in the way that like you know, say like the Nordic God of War games are kind of a soft reboot, right? It is still a continuation, but it is kind of a fresh point. You could jump into this as your first one, and you could kind of pick up what's going on. It's taking place in a new continuity and new reality from the previous 6 parts, and all of those are very continuous and go forward in time each part. This has gone backwards in time to the Wild West, where a paraplegic horse jockey has to team up with a dude that kills people with steel balls to fight dinosaurs over pieces of Jesus
Okay.
during a Olympic cross country horse race.
That's how the Bible sounds to me. All
But
right.
I mean, just the music, the wild color schemes that you see, and they're constantly changing colors, and color filters are being placed over different scenes of characters of different colors, like damn near every scene that happens. Like it really is. There's nothing else like this series. Like there's nothing else that is like this. Um, and it is constantly fresh. It is constantly reinventing itself. And I have not read the books for this. Only watched the show. I've heard a lot of people say that this is their favorite part of the book. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, this show may only be reaching its peak right now, and I've already loved the previous 6 parts of it that have come out.
Okay, and this is going to be on Netflix.
Yeah, March 19th. I believe it's going to be a weekly series. I think because the Stone Ocean, which was the last one, that they did this batch release where they'd release like, I don't know, 13 episodes, and then it's kind of like they kind of broke Invincible season 2 up that way, where it's like they did this weird batch of episodes and then long break, and so that happening with Stone Ocean, it killed some of the excitement and the hype. It was just released weird, and I think they've listened to the criticism and they're going back to weekly releases for this one. But the premiere is March 19th, and the first episode is going to be like an hour-long special. And it's
Wow.
supposed to be sort of all the setup and then the first stage of this race, all in like one big episode.
And we'll be there to do a review of that. Yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stillborn Run there. We'll be there to do that.
And
My
there will
first
be some things that you might not get because you haven't watched the previous 6 seasons or previous 6 parts, but it is a continuity reset. So you won't be like if you jumped into part 6 without having watched the other 5, I think you could be lost and really not know what's going on. I think here you'll be okay. I think you'll get most of what's happening without having seen the other parts.
Okay. So yeah, March 19th, you said? 17th?
Yeah, March 19th.
Okay. Very cool there.
His name on his grill. I mean, he's got his name on his hat. These characters are insane.
Let's see. Go Zappel there. Zappelli.
Zappelli. And Zappelli is also like a play on Led Zeppelin.
Hmm.
Because like damn near everything in JoJo is a music reference. I mean, in the very first season, the very first part, which is only like 9 episodes long, the main villain is named Dio after Ronnie James Dio. And the main character learns from a master Zappelli there, and then his master Tom Petty shows up, and then the Dire Straits comes in to help out. Like it's just there's music obsessive, and that's also why I always recommend sub over dub for this show, because in the dub they censor the music names for copyright reasons. So like all the characters have different names. And so they have these kind of bland generic names instead of like the actual names characters are meant to have. And there are some characters that whose names are not always music references, but like an overwhelming amount of them are. And so the like dubbed version of the series has just like a ton of censorship in it, which kind of sucks. But that's why I always make that recommendation with this one.
Okay, very interesting there. This the creator of JoJo Bizarre Adventure?
Yeah, that's Hirohiko Araki right there.
Very nice there.
And
Um,
he loves music. He loves like the fashion world. If you Google JoJo poses, if you just Google image search that, you will see how into fashion and like just what this guy's brain is out there, man. I tell you, it's really is like nothing else.
mm, very cool there. Let's see there. Let's get all these kind of different things here. So these are like famous poses from models there,
Yeah,
or
yeah, a lot of them are lifted directly from like fashion magazines. I've seen comparisons, and I mean, they're constantly doing it. They'll just do this in the show. I mean, they'll literally like strike a pose and be like, and then start explaining something in like a monologue while they're doing that. And the color scheme of the entire image will change 35 times while they're talking.
what is this? So this
And somebody, yep, there you go.
Pose, Jojo. Pose, 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 Jojo.
when it's compared to, let me see if I can find something compared to.
Yeah, that's somebody like doing them rather than like the original magazine images. But yeah, they're definitely out there. They're definitely yeah. I mean, if you look maybe JoJo like fashion pose source, maybe that'll get
Oh,
them to
here
come
we
up.
go. JoJo pose references. Okay. So there you go. Okay.
Oh yeah, all over the place. And it's a lot of I mean, going back to the 80s, because this is a series that has started in the 80s. The manga of JoJo was like 86 or 80 something, 87, something like that. And he's been making this manga for a very, very long time. And the Steel Ball Run, the manga started, I think, in 2004. So we still have a long way to go before we're caught up to today. And there's even like current, like new JoJo coming out now in like manga form.
Really? Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, yeah, I think, yeah, because there's 8 parts that are done. This is part 7. So there's a whole other part that's completely finished, and then there's a part 9, and that's like currently releasing new chapters.
Mm, okay. Interesting. Um, I wonder if any model's a big fan of JoJo. I wonder.
I wouldn't be surprised. It feels like it's playing to that world.
What was the motivation behind that pose? I wonder.
I have no idea.
Like, what's
JoJo, and well, I mean, I guess I don't know about the fashion magazine itself, but especially in JoJo, so you're gonna want to ask questions at the beginning of the show. Be like, well, how did that? Well, hold on a minute. It's one of those you got to kind of let those wash over you and just kind of let the insanity happen.
well, okay. Very cool there. So that was your number 2, and your number 1.
From
Um,
the amazing folks over at Remedy, Control Resonant. Man, well, you know how much I've harped on this universe. I even got you to play a bunch of these games, and yeah, it's super exciting to see the next piece of this coming out. They've been working on it for a good while. They've got multiple teams at Remedy, so Control Resonant has been in development for a good number of years. It's supposedly even got like a Q2 release attached to it. I don't know if it'll actually come out that soon, but if it is coming out that soon, I think there's a good chance we see it at this PlayStation show on Thursday, actually. Um, but yeah, I mean, Alan Wake 2, I thought was like a masterpiece. The first Control, I think, is really, really amazing. And there's so much to this universe, and they've built so much. And Control, I would say, is the most heavy lifting world building out of any of the games. The Alan Wake games do a lot, but they really focus in on the Dark Place and Alan Wake's personal story in that one particular universe. Whereas the Control games, they're really blowing up. All right, this thing's coming from this reality. This thing's coming from this reality. These two things are fighting each other from this place, and it's really like the Ocean View Motel, right? Is this location in the game where there's doorways to all these different universes filled with like monstrous eldritch nightmares, and it's sort of like walking into the forest with all the doors and the trees and the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like you don't know what's going to be behind any of those things. And it's also like a really big, bold, risky move. One, because it's a completely different main protagonist. You're playing as Dylan, the brother instead of Jesse this time around, and it's Remedy's first hack and slash game. So it's a completely different genre, and that I love that they do that, because Alan Wake 2 was a completely different genre from Alan Wake 1. Alan Wake 1 was like a psychological action thriller. Alan Wake 2 was a survival horror game. Now, broadly, those two things still have a lot in common. You're still, it's still horror toned in some way. It's still a third person shooting game. But here we've gone from a third person, like Metroidvania, basically, to a kind of open world action hack and slash RPG. I just love the bold, risky, just diversion of what they're making. Remedy does not let rest on their laurels. They're trying new things every single time they put something out. I have no doubt that this is going to be incredible, and that I'm not going to shut up about it for 2 years.
Yeah, very much looks like something that Devil May Cry. Looks like he's got all these different upgrades and weapons. Again, he's using this type of weapon, kind of like Jesse, where it kind of morphs into different things, except he's using kind of this.
And that's also what Jesse is stabbing him with at the beginning of the trailer as well. He's still in the coma here, so I'm assuming, because the board bound her to the service weapon, which is her shape-shifting gun, I'm assuming she is binding him to, it's called the Aberrant, is the name for this thing. There's actually in Alan Wake 2 and the First Control, there's something that looks very, very similar to this on Ati's keychains, next with all of his keys that he's got hanging on his belt. So I think this weapon actually may be a gift from Ati.
Interesting. Okay. Very interesting universe, interesting lore going on. I mean, even the character Auntie, people got to really play Alan Wake Control to really know that character and get what that character's doing. The channel that you recommended to me really breaks down a lot of Remedy stuff. Their Gaming Illuminati, I think it is.
Gaming University.
Gaming Universe. Their Gaming University.
Damn Illuminati trying to teach me stuff.
Gaming University, they do a really great job. They break down a lot of stuff Remedy related to Remedy there. Really, really great stuff. So yeah,
and especially if you don't have time to play like Quantum Break and Max Payne, and like at this point, this will be like the 10th game or 10th game overall. So if you don't have time to go back and play every single one of these, this is a great channel to sort of be like, well, let me play Alan Wake. I don't quite get what's going on with Alex Casey. Let me watch these videos about Max Payne. That channel does a really amazing job of sort of filling in all the lore gaps of any games you maybe haven't touched yourself.
Yeah, very great there. I played the games and then I listened to the lore videos afterwards. That's what I typically ended up doing there. Actually, I just got some distressing news about Remedy, actually.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you want me to read it to you.
I mean, that's might hurt my heart, but I suppose I should find out at some point.
So it says here, I just got this, came across my feed here. It says here, Remedy's new CEO is a former sports betting guy and EA executive who aims to scale Remedy in a way that builds lasting value.
Well, that's a little worrying. That's a little worrying. I don't think we have to worry about it with this game, Resonant, just because it's been in development for a while already. So I can't imagine it'll have any effect on this game. But that is concerning for the future, for sure.
It says, so his name is Jean Charles Gouchian.
I hope that Sam Lake had some say in who got hired, or maybe some influence within the company here, because Remedy's a really special company, and they, on a big AAA budget, or not even AAA budget. I mean, their budgets are lower than a lot of AAA games, but on a sort of AAA scale of like what the game looks like when it comes out, they really experiment like nobody else does. And I hope to God that we don't have to go through a period of Remedy losing their touch because of this guy.
So let me go back to this article real quick. It says, under JC's leadership, we are all well positioned to significantly accelerate growth under guide remedies towards greater independence through self-publishing and deliver sustained value to our players, partners, and shareholders. That is in a nutshell is how Remedy ended up needing a CEO in the first place. makes critically acclaimed games, but not a lot of money. Alan Wake 2 probably would have dominated the Game Awards scene in 2023 were it not for Baldur's Gate 3. Well, they can't really do anything about Baldur's Gate 3 coming out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything about the other games that come out. And I mean, I'll say this: it's possible that Alan Wake 2 might have done better if it had been on Steam as well, because it's the PC version, it's only on the Epic games. But that's also because Epic funded the game, and so the game might not have gotten made if not for that funding money that came through. I think it's also important note too, because the Max Payne remake should be the next thing after Control Resonant, and the Max Payne remake, that budget's being fronted by Rockstar, and Remedy's just getting to develop the game. Well, Rockstar sort of just pays for the whole thing, and I think Max, as much as I love this universe and I'm just like total diehard fan of it, Max Payne still seems to be the most mainstream game Remedy's ever done. And I think with Rockstar paying for the budget and then Remedy getting to develop the remake with their artistic integrity they've showed for so long, I feel like that game is basically just a massive profit waiting to happen.
Yeah. It says, but the release of 2025's release of FBC Firebreak was a disaster, even by that standard. Remedy was forced to issue a profit warning to shareholders just a few months after its release, and shortly after that, then CEO Tirio Virchala stepped down after 9 years in the role. So I guess they're saying, like, I guess Remedy needs to start making some money, man. They need some new leadership to come in there. So got to get more of characters in Fortnite. Got to start licensing it off, I guess. Do some more multiplayer games. Did Sage freeze there? Oh, I think Sage. Oh, yeah, his computer just fully crashed there. Okay. But that was the last thing Sage had for his most anticipated was Control Resonant there. Okay. Close out there for the day. Thank you, Sage. Thanks for coming on, man.